Glory to Jesus Christ. My name is Father Volodymyr Zablotsky, and I welcome you to our online Orthodox cooking show. I apologize for my appearance, but the project that we are making today is kind of involved, and it's very uncomfortable to do it in my rasa. So we're going to make sauerkraut today, and I already introduced you to my new vessel for this sauerkraut making. We cleaned it nicely. It's nearly sterile condition. I have my cabbage ready. I also saved some outer leaves of the cabbage to press. Once I'm done shredding the cabbage, I will put a few of these leaves on top under these two stones, so it's nicely pressed down. And we kind of eyeballing it today. I will leave the recipe under the video on the blog, but I'm thinking that this amount of cabbage will be just enough to fill this 15-liter or 5-gallon sauerkraut crock. So I have approximately 6 or 7 heads of cabbage, and of course you can address the cabbage in many different ways, but we have a little shredder here that was given to us by Daniel and Christine Matz, and we're going to use it. I set it on a rather thin slice, so this is about the thickness of the cabbage that we'll get. So as you can see, I have a lot of shredding to do, and after I'm done with the shredding, we'll continue on with the video. So once you've shredded your cabbage, and before we proceed, to take the gassing out of your work, always read the instructions. So the crock, like we have, comes with a little instruction. It actually says that the crock will, the 15-liter crock will take in about 11 to 14 or 15 pounds of cabbage. So we have here about 14 pounds of cabbage. We have some salt, sugar, and shredded carrot. And what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna layer the cabbage. I'm gonna salt it generously. For 15 pounds of cabbage, you need about 8 to 10 tablespoons of salt. And my sister said to me that it's quite hard to oversalt the cabbage, and I was on the phone with her just inquiring about different recipes. So be generous with your salt. So for approximately 15 pounds of cabbage, you will need just about 8 to 10 tablespoons of salt. And so what I'm doing here, I'm just mixing it a little bit. The first layer, a little bit of that salt in, and you can see it's already beginning to draw all the juices, and basically all of these juices will eventually become the brine that I'll put a little bit of carrot in, not too much, and I'm not gonna mix it now because it probably will put a little bit of a color, but it doesn't really matter. So put on another layer of cabbage. Sprinkle it generously with salt. Don't skip on salt, because salt is what draws the juices out of it to become. Again, a little bit of carrot again, and so on. So once we finish this, we'll start packing it into our sauerkraut crock. Okay, once you mix your cabbage with the salt and a little bit of sugar and a little bit of carrot, you can see it's already releases juices. If I were to squeeze, you can probably, you see how it flows. So actually you can let it sit for that more juices to release, or you can start packing. So I will start packing, and all you want to do is just to move the sauerkraut into the crock pot. And as you move it, you can actually purchase yourself a packing stick for the sauerkraut, but I'll just use the string on my arm, and I just will pack the sauerkraut down, and with every layer I build, I will pack it down. And once we fill the crock with the cabbage, we'll show you how to finish and how to set it for fermentation. We just finished packing our cabbage into the sauerkraut pot, and I want you just to see. They normally say that you need about an inch of brine on top of the cabbage, and if there is no brine seen, they recommend you to mix some salt and water and just put it, make sure. But if you see when I press my hand, there is a lot of brine coming up. So I'm not gonna worry whether it's submerged or not, because by tomorrow this cabbage will be definitely submerged in an inch or more of brine. So at this point we're going just to take one of those loose leaves that we had, and I'm gonna kind of break them a little bit and lay them on top of the cabbage. And the purpose I'm doing this, so it kind of functions as a little bit of a cover for the cabbage not to come through once we put the stones in. So I'm just gonna layer these outer leaves of cabbage all around the top, and they make sure that you wash them, because they are gonna be edible. In the old country in Ukraine, sometimes people would put an entire head of cabbage to make it into sauerkraut, and then they would use it to make stuffed cabbage, or голубці, or golomki, depending where you come from. So just making sure that all these little holes are covered, and once we put the stone in, it's gonna push it down, and maybe even today we will see maybe an inch or a little bit of brine coming through. But you can see it when I push a little bit, that brine is coming through, and it's a little bit red because I probably could have used a little bit less carrot, but I like carrot in my sauerkraut. So I'm just gonna finish with all these leaves, and I think now our sauerkraut is ready for these stones. The sauerkraut pot that we bought has these two stones, so we can just put them. Make sure not to overfill your sauerkraut crock, so you can easily slice. I think we filled it just perfectly to the level where we can just push these stones and just press them a little bit down, so this brine comes up, and by tomorrow there will be even more brine. But we won't probably look at this sauerkraut adventure until it's time for us to taste it. Before we put it to ferment, what I need to do in the rim around this crock, I will just put water. I have hot water. It doesn't have to be hot water, but you put a little bit of water, not too much. And what it does, when you put the cover down into that water, it becomes like a bubbler, because, oh, you see, bubble came up. When it begins to ferment, it will bubble. Bubbling. It's already fermenting, but I think it's just from excess air under the cover as I was putting it down. So it will ferment for about 7 to 10 days, and then we'll be ready to either pack it into glass containers, glass jars. You can leave in this crock until all sauerkraut is eaten, and you can make another batch. We will decide what to do. So this is video number 1 of making sauerkraut, and in about a week we'll have a follow-up and taste and see how we did. If you like this video, please give us thumbs up on YouTube, share it with your friends on Facebook, subscribe to our blog, and if you need the recipe, if you are watching us on YouTube and you need the recipe, in the description of the video there is a link to our website, and I will give you a detailed recipe of how we made about 15 pounds of sauerkraut.